In today's tutorial, I'm going to be dropping all of my best lash tips on how to create the most uniform, directed, clean looking lash set you could ever imagine, no matter what challenges your clients' natural lashes present. Before we dive into all the details, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Caitlin Alford. I'm the owner and lead educator of international lash brand Lash Artistry Lash. If you're new to our channel, my job here is to spread lash education everywhere with the intention of helping lash artists across the globe with all of my personal tried and true tips and tricks. I have traveled across the world training students and speaking at conferences, and it is seriously my passion to understand the ins and outs of everything lash related. So I'm so happy to bring this video to you today. This particular topic has been so highly requested. So firstly, thank you so much to everyone who reaches out in comments, sends us DMs, and shoots us all your questions, because we couldn't make these videos without you. So if you have questions, honestly, shoot them along. We love making videos tailored to our customers and our followers' requests. But to be honest, creating a lash set that is super clean and looks like soldiers in a row, just perfectly directed, is so challenging. It takes serious attention to detail and such an understanding of lash theory to make it happen. So my hope is by the end of this video, if you feel like your sets are looking a little bit messy, by the end of this video, you're gonna be just a little bit better than you were the last set that you created. Let's get right into it. So a lot of people think that all you need when creating a nice clean set is to focus on direction. Not true. There's so much more to it than that. So this video is gonna be broken out into sections, and then at the end, I'm gonna show you that I actually know what I'm talking about by creating a clean, concise, beautiful looking lash set. So make sure you stick to the end to see exactly what I create today. I'm so happy to show it to you. Number one, it's not all about using high diameters and dimensions. The real trick to a clean looking lash set is to choose a product, diameter, dimension, that has a base that sits nice and snug against the natural lash, meaning that the base of the lash, the edges don't sit too far over one side or the other. A max amount that the edges of your lashes should sit over the natural lash is 1/3, and that means on both sides. So just an itty bitty amount on either side of the natural lash. So if you're really like, I don't know what that means, I don't know how to choose it, don't worry. There's always ways that you can err on the side of caution. So what you're gonna do is, if you were working with classic lashes, 0.12 diameter is your best friend. Even if you're working with, say, a 0.15 diameter for the entire set, you can still mix lower diameters into your set. So how you're gonna do this is, first of all, okay, I want a 0.5 diameter look. I know most of my clients' lashes can handle that. Isolate the thick natural lashes across the eye. That's where you're gonna utilize your 0.15 diameter lashes. If you notice that they have fine natural lashes across the rest of the eye, which almost everybody does, instead of skipping those, you can utilize that 0.12 diameter lash for those lashes and mix them together. I promise you, it might sound like, well, it's not gonna be dark enough, but you will be so surprised by how dark it can look when you mix the 0.12 into your set, because you're not having to skip lashes along the way. And on top of that, if you're using lots of weight on those really fine natural lashes, then they can droop down a little bit and let light get through, so you're actually X-naying some of that darkness that you want in your set. So 0.12 diameter on those lighter, finer natural lashes, key. Now, what about if you're doing a volume lash service? What you wanna do is make sure you're using a snatched, bundled base, unless you know, again, same rules apply, unless you know the client's natural lash is thick enough that those bases are not gonna flop over one side or the other. Sit right in the middle of that natural lash and not extend too far over. So if you're a Premade Fan artist, mid-stem when you're working with high diameters and dimensions is key, because mid-stem has a really snatched base, versus short stem, great, love it if your client's natural lashes can handle it. But if you're working with high dimensions on weak natural lashes, just be cautious again of that base overlapping. When it comes to Premade Fans, if you love your short stems, one of my best friends, product-wise, is 3D. 3D is seriously so lovely. You can mix it in on those finer natural lashes throughout any set. I even do it, this is a hack, don't tell anyone, I even do it with my mega volume sets. On those super weak natural lashes, I just pop some 3Ds in there if I'm working with Premade Fans, and it looks absolutely stunning. Number 2, we kind of already covered this. Place your extension in the middle of the natural lash. The lash will kind of look floppy if you place a part of the base on the right side and there's not much on the left side, or if it's not balanced. Just honestly, symmetry is key. Keep the fans or the classic lash smack dab in the middle of that natural lash as much as you can. Even if you're directing, let's say the natural lash veers to the right and you're trying to direct to the left, you can still center your lash base in the middle of the natural lash. You might have to place underneath. Sometimes you might have to use finer diameters and then hug it into the side. That's okay too, but if you are hugging into the side, just make sure you're not using a really thick extension, because if there are lots of lips, you're gonna expect that the lash set's not gonna look as clean, which is okay too. Sometimes density is fine. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but if you're looking for optimal, clean looking lashes, these are the hacks. Number 3, make sure you utilize the right extension curls for the right natural lashes. This can really make your set look like it was designed for them, and it just looks so clean and intentional. So if you're not sure exactly which curl to choose, first thing we do is look at our natural lash lift. Here's a natural lash lift cheat sheet. Man, say that like 3 times in a row. Natural lash lift cheat sheet. It's like really hard to say that over and over. It's like a tongue twister. Like Sally's, what is it? Sally sells, she sells. Okay, anyways, utilize the right curls. So you need something that's gonna lift up and look like all the lashes sit uniformly. That's really important. If you want more information, that's a whole video in itself, actually a whole module in itself. We do talk a lot about that in our online courses. Advanced texture course, if you're already certified in classics and volume, but you're like, what? I never covered this stuff. I just know how to make fans, or I just know how to place the lashes. This course is all the tiny little details that make a world of difference. So advanced textured, you'll love it if you haven't already taken it. But anyhow, make sure you really understand curl theory and natural lash lifts in order to choose the right curl. Number 4, avoid sporadic top layer lashes. So what this means is every client has what we call here at Lash Artistry rogue lashes. Not everyone, but most clients have at least a few rogue lashes. These are lashes that don't necessarily sit into any cohesive layer. Unfortunately, when they're all staggered, or when there's just 1 or 2 lashes that sit quite a bit higher along that top lash line, those lashes can really become a pain, because you might notice little lifts in certain areas that the lashes look way longer, or it looks like there's a random spike that wasn't intentional. Avoid lashing those lashes, or lash them with really short lengths to just add density. Number 5, if you are working with really thick bases of your classic lash or your lash fan, volume fan, then just try your best to place underneath or on top of the natural lash so that you have more of that natural lash to cover the base, so that it looks like the extensions are literally an extension of the natural lash instead of a perfect line of demarcation where you can see almost the roots. It's like where the base was placed. Ideally, we won't have that. Just a nice, tight based natural lash, an extension that forms a perfect little bundle of just one cohesive looking lash. I know I keep coming back to that. I really want to stress the importance of that, because it really does make a difference, and it seriously helps with grow out like you wouldn't believe. Grow out and retention, amazing. Number 6, make sure you have a directional plan. Oftentimes, have you ever seen little gaps in your lashes where you're like, what is that gap? And I've done this before, especially back in the day before I really understood all the little details of lashing. I would look at my set and be like, I guess she didn't have any natural lashes in that area, but really my direction was off. So I would accidentally create gaps across the lash line where there was like, they just weren't flushed together. There wasn't a lash where I wanted it to be. And then there were more dents in certain areas across the tips. That means that you have to work on direction or a directional pattern. So again, advanced texture course if this is something that you want more information on, but you can change your directional pattern for any section of the eye. The trick is that you have to have a blending directional section. So what that means is if you're directing your outer corner out toward the ear and you're directing the inner corner up toward the eyebrow, if you go up, 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 out, what are you left with in the middle? A V. So you might notice that in some of your sets that you've changed your direction, but there wasn't that middle point where you changed from, say, 45 degrees to 90 degrees. You need to slowly transition your degrees in order to make sure that that gap is fully filled and it looks nice and soft as you transition. So just keep that in mind. So if you're changing, you might do your 90-degree section first, you might do your 45-degree, and then keep that middle section, and your goal then is just to slowly move from an upward direction to an outward direction. And you can do this for any directional pattern. Just make sure that it's in the forefront of your mind so that you can troubleshoot through how to make it look nice and blended as you work through those directional patterns. Number 7, make sure you choose the right style for your clients. So I'm just gonna give one example here, but let's say you have a client who has very heavy eyelids. Older clienteles, our skin's not gonna stay up and pulled back forever. Eventually our eyelids do start to sit lower, or a hooded lash, right? Or a hooded eye. For these clients, we have to fight against the eyelid sitting on the lash line. So we can't expect the lashes to look perfectly uniform and in place all the time unless they're brushed perfectly, because the eyelid has oils and it's sitting on the lashes and moving them around. So let's say you're working with a D-curl or something with a hooded eyelid or lower eyelids as a whole. Be careful, because if the lashes are fighting against that, they'll move in ways that it just doesn't look natural. So for those kind of clients, you might want to work with something like a straighter lash, a B curl, a C curl, or a lash with lots of lift but a straight base, like an L curl or an M curl. If we work with classic lashes, there's a lot more of a chance that the lashes will kind of separate as the skin sits against the lashes. So what's a really great plan of attack is, even if the client's looking for really natural extensions, to still use volume fans. So you can make a natural, like even more natural than lots of classic lash sets out of volume lashes. All you have to do is choose the right diameters and dimensions to keep the lash set looking nice and lightweight. So you can bump down, let's say you like working with 0.07s. You can use 0.07s in lower dimension fans, or, and this is my preferred method, bump down to 0.05s and then bump up your dimension a little bit so that you can get more coverage, and the more coverage, the less they're gonna separate, but still create a really, really light effect. Number 8, make sure you cover the entire bottom layer. Doesn't matter how much of the rest of the set you finish, if you cover 100% of the bottom layer, your client's gonna look at their lashes and they're gonna go, oh, that's good. They're gonna look at them and think that they look so full, because when your client opens their eyes, that's what they see. They're immediately looking at the bottom layer. So if you can see natural lashes across there, it's gonna not look very clean or dark or intentional. It's just gonna look a little bit unfinished. So to really knock your client's socks off, make sure you cover that bottom layer. It can sometimes take a little bit of practice to get used to even finding and looking at the bottom layer. If you need help, promise you, we have tons of videos on layering techniques. You can use techniques such as using your inspection mirror to check to see if the bottom layer is lashed. You can use iPad techniques, tape techniques. You can use your finger to pull back the layers. But I promise you, if you finish that bottom layer completely, your clients are gonna love it and you're gonna love the look of it as well. Let's get into today's hybrid lash set. We have model Rebecca, who happens to be a local lash artist who lets me play with her lashes. I don't know about you guys, but I love clients who let me play. So today we're doing classic lashes across the entire top layer and volume lashes across the entire bottom layer. And in between, we're gonna do a 50-50 mix. Excited to bring this to your screen. Please let me know what you think of the set in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. And if you're interested in doing any of our Lost Artistry lash trainings, they're all online. And there's so many perks. You get 10% off Lost Artistry for life and access for eternity. Da-da-da. So you can literally sign in anytime. We're always updating our courses, so you get information for free as we grow as a company and as lash artists as well. Thanks so much for watching.